Happy holidays and Merry Christmas Eve. Welcome to your last Twilight Zone breakdown of 2024, and I could not do it without covering Night of the Meek, Season 2, Episode 11 of the Twilight Zone. Let's get into it. The episode begins in a huge department store with children that are obviously the descendant of Karens and the Alpha Karens themselves shopping. We then realize that Santa Claus is currently on break. So I said, oh girl, where is Santa Claus? He eating his lunch? And within a few seconds, we find him. And yes, Santa Claus is eating his lunch. Unfortunately, his lunch is in liquid form, okay? We learned that our friend had 6 drinks and 1 sandwich. That equaled 380, which was interesting to me because 6 drinks and a sandwich, 380. You know what? Now, Henry is our main character's name. After those 6 drinks, Henry is tipping on fofos through this city. And as he's settling up with the bartender, the children of the town are like peeping in because they genuinely are excited to see Santa Claus. And as much as I want to hold Henry accountable for his drinking, we also have to give some accountability to this bar owner. This man is not, I think you're overserving. I think you're overserving, sir. Anyway, Henry settles up and he leaves. His energy while leaving this bar gave holiday Jack Sparrow. This man was toe up. But you see, the kids are still admiring him. The kids finally catch up to him, and the girl is like, I want a dolly. And the little boy is like, I want a soldier and a pew-pew. And I'm like, of course you want that. But then the little girl says, can you also get my dad a job? And the little boy is like, yeah, and a turkey that's big enough to feed all of us. And I just thought that Henry was going to collapse and cry on them stairs with those children. And as he's consoling these children, who is around the corner but Rod Serling, freezing, by the way. And he tells us that Henry is in for a night. And I'm like, you about to put this man to work, and I know you are. Because one thing Rod gonna do is put the people who are actually doing good to work and let the terrible people rest. And by rest, I mean he makes them suffer for 30 minutes, but he does not make them do labor. Y'all, he walks into that mall and his boss immediately smells exactly what liquor he's been drinking, which also was a red flag to me because I said, you can tell by the smell? Because it's giving that everybody on this floor needs AA. The first Karen Jr. that Santa has to address is Percival Smithers. And when Santa asks Percival what he would like, Percival says, a new first name. Girl, you're gonna have to ask somebody else for that. Go to the Social Security. I ain't got it. But unfortunately for our friend, in the middle of him talking to Percival, he falls out of his chair. And Percival is like, Santa Claus is loaded. What's going on? And what pissed me off the most is that instead of them helping him up, they laugh. And Percival even makes this face because his mother is like, why would you ever display such action in front of my child? Let me tell you something. The behavior that Percival displayed in the 45 seconds he was on the screen told me he would be one of 2 things. In his 20s, he would either be on a pole in a C-list Las Vegas strip club or a kingpin in Miami. And not Miami, Florida, Miami, Ohio. And unfortunately, Smithers from The Simpsons was not having it. He fires Santa Claus immediately. Before leaving, Henry tells him, it's either I drink or I cry, and I choose to drink because it's easier. Then he adds, and as for my insubordination, I was not rude to her, but she needs to remember what Christmas is about because it's not about your badass kids and their gifts. He goes on to tell everybody in that department store that he drinks because every day he walks down the street, he sees hungry children, hungry people, people begging. And drinking makes him feel like he's in the North Pole and he can actually do something for these people. And that's when I leaned in because I said, you're the best person in this entire store. Everybody is looking at this man crazy as he says, one day I just want to make sure that all the hopelessness can go away. And that's what Christmas is about. And despite him reading everybody in that room for filth, his boss still decides to fire him. And as my forehead has almost hit the screen from leaning in, we hear jingle bells in the distance. And Santa Claus, the real one, has dropped a bag of goodies off to this man. And the material desires of everybody in that town now exists in that one bag. And what did I tell y'all? He gets to work. I told y'all Rod Serling never lets us rest. If you're a good person, you are going to work in the Twilight Zone. In the next scene at an actual AA meeting, somebody runs in and is like, y'all, Santa Claus is outside giving away gifts. And they think that he's relapsed, but he hasn't. And right as they don't believe the guy, Henry walks in and starts giving away gifts that literally only he could know that they needed. One guy asked for a smoker's jacket. I had to Google that. But alas, everybody's town has a hater, and their hater is the AA teacher. She calls the police on him. And because a lot of the goods could have come from the department store, they called his boss down to the police station. But now we have reached an impasse because everything that the boss pulls out of that bag is trash. So the police is like, all I see in this bag is trash. I don't know what y'all are talking about, but I'm ready to go home because it is Christmas Eve. Henry tries to explain that the bag is magic, and for the last 20 minutes, he's been able to give everybody anything that they want. So his ex-boss is like, all right, girl, well, if you can get anything that I want a very specific brandy from 1929. He gives it to him. At this point, now his boss and the police officers have to believe him because they're like, there's no way he would have had that in that bag. So he goes around and he gives every single kid in that city a toy. And after he's done, this gentleman comes out of the house and he's like, what did you give yourself? And he's like, I didn't really need anything. This is what I wanted to do for Christmas. And he makes a wish that if he could do this every year for the rest of his life, he would be a happy man. Well, you know what they say. Don't ask for what you don't want, because in the next scene, an elf in a sled arrive. In fact, he pokes her to make sure it's not just the leftover Hennessy in his system. And she's like, no, I'm real. In fact, we've been waiting for you and we have a lot of work to get ready for next season. Are you ready? And he's like, I guess I am. Girl, he gets on that sled and all the reindeer are like, let's go. In the last scene, the boss and the police officer see him fly away in his sled. They kind of look down at the brandy like, is it this or is this real? But it's real. And our friend's dream came true because Henry is now Santa Claus. And in the end, our friend Rod gives us a word that serves us to this day. A word to the wise to the children of the 20th century, whether their concern be pediatrics or geriatrics, whether they crawl on their hands and knees and wear diapers or walk with a cane and comb their beards. There's a wondrous magic to Christmas, and there's a special power reserved for the little people. In short, there's nothing mightier than the meek. And with that, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody that has supported my page this year. In this holiday season, I want you to remember that regardless of status, race, gender, or creed, you have a little magic in you too.